When we are young, money feels very simple. We go to work, get paid in dollars, put that money in the bank, and believe that everything will be fine. But the longer I live, the more economic cycles I witness, wars, elections, financial crises, the more I realize one very important thing. Money is not neutral. The dollar we use every day is not just money. It is deeply tied to politics, to decisions made by central banks, to policies in which ordinary people have little or no voice. And that is when Bitcoin appears. Bitcoin is the first asset in human history designed to exist completely outside the political system. No government controls it. No central bank can print more of it. No one can order it to bail out anyone or to serve the interests of a particular group. As someone who has worked for many years in the financial industry in the United States, I can say this directly. This has never existed before. What makes Bitcoin special is not promises. It is real energy. This system does not ask us to trust people. It forces participants to spend real electricity, real capital, and accept real risk. In finance, when there is real cost, there is real trust. Money, ultimately, is a collective belief. We believe in it to exchange our time, our labor, and our future. The difference here is this. Bitcoin does not rely on power or force to create trust. It relies on mathematics and the laws of physics. Once Bitcoin is running, it does not need human supervision. No one can shut it down. No one can change the rules. There are no bailouts, no exceptions. This is the first monetary system in history that operates autonomously through code. Every transaction is recorded on a public ledger that the entire world can verify. It cannot be erased. It cannot be altered. It cannot be cheated. And most importantly, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. No more. No less. Forever. Gold can still be mined. Fiat money can be printed endlessly. But for the first time, humanity knows exactly how much money exists, and that fact cannot be changed. I'm not saying Bitcoin is perfect, but with all of my experience I can say this. This is the first time in our lives that people have the right to choose a monetary system without asking permission from anyone. And perhaps, that is what truly makes Bitcoin worth listening to. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and think with me about a very fundamental question. What gives money its value? Not because it is printed beautifully. Not because it has a president's face on it. And certainly not because a government says it has value. Money exists because we collectively believe in it. For more than 100 years, that belief has been entrusted almost entirely to central banks. And for many decades, that system worked fairly well. But then we began to see cracks. Money was printed faster than productivity grew. Inflation quietly eroded a lifetime of savings. Bank accounts could be frozen by a single administrative decision. And ordinary people had no real alternative. The biggest problem with traditional money is not that it is evil, but that it requires us to trust the right people. Bitcoin takes a completely different path. Instead of saying, trust us, Bitcoin says, trust no one, verify. Every transaction is recorded publicly. Anyone can see it. No permission required. No special privileges. And to protect the system, Bitcoin does not use police, armies, or laws. It uses proof of work. Simply put, to participate in validating transactions, you must expend real energy, real electricity, real hardware, real cost. In nature, nothing of value exists without the expenditure of energy. Bitcoin simply applies that rule to money. And what matters most is this. Whether you are an individual, a corporation, or even a nation-state, Bitcoin maintains its rhythm of roughly one block every 10 minutes. No one can speed it up to gain an advantage. No one can monopolize the system. I have witnessed many financial systems where the powerful always win. Bitcoin, however, was designed from the very beginning to prevent that. Bitcoin miners are not exploiters. They are the ones who keep the system honest. They maintain the ledger. They secure the network. And they are paid transparently in the very currency of the system. There are no backdoors. No secret deals. And then we return to the most important number of all, 21 million. For the first time in history, humanity has created a form of money whose supply cannot be changed. Even if the entire world agreed that it wanted to change it, This is not just technology. It is a new ethical standard for money. Gold was once a good choice, but it requires custodians. And wherever there is a middleman, there is risk. Bitcoin brings the scarcity of gold, together with the mobility of the internet. Finally, I want to say this to you, especially to those who have worked, saved, and built their entire lives. Bitcoin does not force anyone to believe. It simply gives people a choice. No nationality required. No bank account required. No permission from anyone. For the first time, a monetary system does not ask, "Who are you?" It only asks, "Do you follow the rules of mathematics?" And in an increasingly unstable world, sometimes, certainty comes from numbers that cannot be changed. I want you to imagine this. If tomorrow the bank where you keep your money decides to freeze your account, who can you call? Who can you complain to? And how long will it take? In the current system, our money does not truly belong to us. We are only allowed to use it, as long as the system permits. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a legal reality that I have seen very clearly during many years in the financial industry. Bitcoin was designed to remove precisely this weakness. There is no freeze button. There is no confiscation button. There is no human authority behind the scenes deciding who is worthy and who is not. The rules are the same for everyone, and they cannot be changed once the game has begun. Some people tell me, Bitcoin is too rigid. But it is exactly that rigidity that creates long-term trust. In finance, the most dangerous thing is not price volatility. The most dangerous thing is when the rules change halfway through the game. Bitcoin does not do that. Every 4 years, the mining reward is cut in half. No voting required. No meetings. No political debate. The program was written from the beginning, and it simply runs. I have worked with many financial models, managed by very smart people. And when a crisis hits, the rules are always bent to save the system, while the cost is pushed onto savers. Bitcoin has no mercy, and it has no favoritism. That is precisely why it is fair. Another point that few people talk about, especially on television, is the role of energy. In the physical world, energy is the foundation of all value. Without energy, there is no production. Without production, there is no wealth. Bitcoin is the first monetary system that directly ties money to energy. To create Bitcoin, you must expend electricity. It cannot be faked. It cannot be printed by a political decision. And therefore, Bitcoin cannot be copy-pasted like paper money or numbers inside a bank's computer. Some say Bitcoin wastes energy. But I want you to think about it differently. We are using energy to purchase honesty. We use energy to ensure that no one can cheat the system. And in finance, honesty always has a cost. The final point in this section, and perhaps the most human one, is this. Bitcoin allows individuals to take full responsibility. No one bails you out if you are wrong. No one covers your losses if you are careless. But no one has the power to take your property away either. This is not a system for everyone. But it is a system for those who truly value real ownership. And perhaps, after living long enough to understand the value of freedom, we begin to understand why a permissionless monetary system matters so deeply. So what is Bitcoin? Ultimately, technology, an investment, or money? From my professional perspective, Bitcoin is not just an asset. It is a system of rules. A system in which no one has special privileges. No one stands above the rules. And no one can change outcomes through influence or power. Throughout my career, I have seen many financial systems collapse not because of a lack of intelligence, but because human beings could not resist the temptation to intervene. Bitcoin removes precisely that weakness. It does not try to be compassionate. It chooses to be unmanipulable. And the paradox is this. That very coldness is what creates long-term fairness. When a monetary system has no back doors, trust no longer depends on promises, but on verifiability. Anyone can view the ledger. Anyone can verify the supply. Anyone can confirm the rules. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter where you come from. This is something traditional money has never been able to achieve. Bitcoin also does not need to be rescued. It does not need anyone's belief to exist. It only needs participants who follow the rules. And after more than a decade, through crises, through volatility, through countless waves of criticism, that system is still running, relentlessly, without asking permission. You may never buy a single Bitcoin, and that is perfectly fine. But what matters more is this. For the first time in our lives, we are witnessing an alternative choice for money. A system where ownership is real, supply is fixed, and the rules do not change over time. When I speak to people who have spent their entire lives working, saving, and protecting their families, I do not tell them that Bitcoin will make them rich. I tell them only this. Bitcoin exists to remind us that money can be designed better, and sometimes simply knowing that we have a choice is already a form of freedom. Before we finish, I want to say this very slowly and very honestly. Bitcoin does not require you to believe in it. It does not need anyone's approval to exist. But it forces us to confront a question bigger than Bitcoin itself. Does the money we are using truly serve people? For most of my life, I have worked within the traditional financial system. I understand why it was built the way it was. And I also understand why more and more people are beginning to question it. Bitcoin does not promise a financial paradise. It simply offers a clear set of rules and leaves the decision to each individual. You may choose to stand on the sidelines and observe. You may take time to learn more, or you may never use it at all. All of those choices are valid. What matters is this. For the first time, money is no longer something we are forced to accept. It is something we are free to choose. If this video made you think, if it helped you see money from a different perspective, then I hope you will take more time to explore, slowly, without rushing, not following rumors, not chasing prices, just learning to understand. And if you believe conversations like this are necessary, conversations that respect the viewer's intelligence, experience, and time, then please click subscribe, so we can continue discussing money, freedom, and the future together with clarity and calm. Leave a comment below, not to argue, but to share your honest thoughts. Because sometimes the biggest changes begin with a single question asked at the right moment. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'll see you again in the next video 5.